Yeah, we voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. We live in the Florida Panhandle, and we thought that this would be good for our business, but we're finding out now that we were wrong, and I want to publicly say that we are regretting our votes at this point. My husband and me own a construction company, and we literally do not have workers anymore. Most of our workers are from Mexico, and they're good, hard workers. I talked to a few of them, and they said they were just too scared to come back to work because of all the raids. Our construction company is likely to go out of business now, and we don't know what we're going to do, but we're never voting for a Republican again. Ron DeSantis and Trump have been passing laws that negatively affect our business, and I just want to say that I'm sorry for voting for him. I grew up Republican, and it's all I've ever known, but now I can see that me and my whole family have been very wrong about this. So we hope that 2026 comes and we can take back the House and the Senate and stop him from what he's doing. There's a special election coming up in Matt Gaetz's district, and we're going to do everything we can to advocate for a Democrat taking that seat.
I was a Trump supporter. I don't know how long I can keep doing this. I have a construction company, and not a fucking thing is getting done. This is what I get. This is what I fucking get. Nothing but white boys. Takes 4 days to do a one-day job. I might have fucked up.
Get them legal status. Somehow.
Now, before we get going, this gentleman here is in the construction business in Florida. He goes by the name of Honest Hammer on TikTok, so I will just refer to him as Hammer. But he made this video in response to what he himself is witnessing on the construction sites that he's a part of in regards to the undocumented immigrants who are working on those construction sites with him. Let's hear what he has to say.
I've seen a lot of the videos, and it seems like a lot of people are just yelling and they're mad. I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand it either. It's not what I voted for.
But this is what you voted for. You may not have been aware of what you were voting for, but this is what you voted for. If you look back at the first Trump administration, he had every immigrant that was here under TPS, the temporary protective status, at risk for deportation. He had the whole TPS program at risk. But that's on you to either remember or go look and seek out yourself the past actions of this president. Because if you're only watching right-wing media, no one over there is going to tell you anything about that. That's why it's so important that we break out of our echo chambers.
I voted for the criminals to be removed, 100%. But there are a lot of hardworking immigrants in this country that are building this country. Going back to when I started building the Hard Rock, 85% probably immigrants, all hardworking people providing for their families. Talk to them, get to see their kids on their phones, hear them all interact, have great days, loving what they do.
Because they're people. They're people. And if we're stuck in our echo chambers, the right-wing echo chamber has made you believe that they're criminals.
I've got a solution. The solution, President Trump, is to not deport these gentlemen right away, these hardworking gentlemen and women that have been removed from these job sites. Get them legal status somehow under a work visa. Background check them. Do whatever you need to do to make sure they're not criminals, but let's get them legalized.
Hammer, we had a chance to do that. We actually had many chances to do that. One chance we had was in the run-up to the election in 2024. There was a bill ready for a vote, a bipartisan bill. It would have provided massive amounts of funds for new technology to have at the border, for new enforcement officers to be hired, for new immigration judges to be appointed, and the courts expanded to process asylum claims faster. Donald Trump torpedoed that bill because he was more interested in having the issue to run on than the problem solved. But that wasn't our only chance. We had a couple more chances too.
And as president, I will work with Congress to create, at long last, a pathway to citizenship for hardworking immigrants who have been here for years.
They refused to vote for a qualified black woman who had a plan for immigrants because of racism and their hatred for immigrants and black and brown people. But karma is beautiful. So let's have a look. Please like and hype the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments, alright? Let's get into it.
Florida beaches are empty because racism don't pay the bills. Now those beaches and businesses are empty in Florida, and the business owners are scratching their head. They're like, I don't understand what's happening and why this is going on. This is what happens when you build your entire platform on bigotry and fear. When you spend years attacking immigrants, the very people who visit your state, spend money in your hotels, eat at your restaurants, buy your tacky ass beach tiles, don't act shocked when they stop showing up. And understand, it's not just tourists who aren't coming to Florida. When you squeeze the working class like a lemon, there is no juice left for joy. You think people got beach money right now? People can't even afford to go outside. And all those Trump tariffs, those weren't on corporations. Those were Trump taxes on us. Prices went up, jobs got cut, and now folks are choosing between groceries and gas, not plane tickets to Clearwater. And y'all made Florida a hostile environment, honestly. And not just for immigrants, but also for black people, LGBTQ, teachers, hell, even librarians. Y'all made the beach a battleground. So now it's just you and those overpriced souvenir stands collecting dust. And now conservative business owners are mad. But they're mad at the consequences of the policies that they voted for. Baby, this ain't karma. This is cause and effect. Conservative policies destroy communities, period. So ask yourself, how long are you guys going to continue to vote against your own business?
Ron DeSantis and his hate-filled agenda, which of course is also being pushed by the Republicans in the Florida State House. They have solid control of this state and have for many decades now. But this agenda of hate is costing the state economy here in Florida billions of dollars already. Here's what's happening. Two conventions that were supposed to bring in literally thousands and thousands and thousands of tourists to the state of Florida have canceled. There was a women's technological leadership conference that was supposed to bring in 16,000 people due to Florida's mainly the 6-week abortion ban, but also they mentioned every other hate-filled piece of legislation that DeSantis has signed, so they've pulled out. A nurses' convention has pulled out of this state, robbing us of thousands of people, spending probably thousands of dollars. And of course, we cannot forget the fact that Disney shut down a multi-billion-dollar planned project that would have brought a couple thousand high-paying jobs to the state of Florida. So we're being robbed of future economic activity.
Oh, Florida. You in danger, girl. First off, I am from Florida. I grew up there. I went to UCF. I love Disney World. And I also escaped as quickly as I possibly could. If you have been wondering which states are going to get hit the hardest by these healthcare cuts, you guessed it, Florida is at the top of the list. Home of Governor Rambo, where you have 2 Republican senators and 20 of your 28 House of Representatives are Republicans. You effed around and now you are going to find out. Let's jump into the data. You know the one thing that Florida ranks last in this country? They rank last in the number of residents who are on employer-funded healthcare at 40%. You might be inclined to argue with me and say, well, that's probably because there is one single head of household who is on employer-funded healthcare coverage, and the rest of their family is also on that healthcare coverage. No, the data does not agree with you. An estimated 4.7 million Floridians are on ACA Obamacare marketplace insurance, representing 27% of the under 65 population. The national average is 8.8%. Was ACA perfect? No, there's not a single educated American who would say that it was perfect. Was it better than your premium skyrocketing? Yeah, I think so. Let's zoom in and look at Holmes County, Florida, just south of the border of Alabama, where in the 2024 general election, they voted for Donald Trump with 89.9% of their vote. You aggressively voted for this, Holmes County, Florida. In 2024, for individuals, the average cost of ACA Advantage Silver Premium Insurance for Holmes County, Florida, earning less than $35,000 per year was $312 per month. With the ACA subsidies in place and factoring in healthcare inflation, that number was anticipated to rise to $349 per month in 2026, an increase of around 11% in costs. But You voted for these subsidies to go away, and now your cost is $680 per month. That is an increase of 118%. It turns out that racism is very expensive.
Florida is now experiencing a complete collapse. Over the next 3 years, you will see housing prices on the East Coast and the West Coast and the south of Florida drop 30 to 40% over the next 3 years. It's that dire in Florida. And what's causing it all? People are moving out. People simply can't afford to live in Florida. And many people can't afford to fix their homes from the latest storms. It's only going to get worse. If you have property to sell in Florida, you better hurry. You better aggressively get it done. Because over the next 3 years, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. It's going to make the 2008 crash look like a picnic. So what is going on right now? You're seeing mass exodus of people. People leaving Florida in droves because it's simply not affordable. Insurance is too high. HOA is too high. Everything is too high. And even with the prices coming down, it's not going to matter. Nothing is going to save Florida at this point except for a 30 to 40% drop because it's just too expensive to live there. And the economics aren't there. Like and follow for more. We'll be talking about it for a long time.
People are fucking leaving. Like, we're all leaving. Rachel and I are leaving. Like, we can't fucking...
Please watch his entire video. It shows you just the frustration of so many people in Florida and how so many people in Florida, it's not reported in the news. It's not really talked about, but there are thousands and thousands of people preparing and getting ready to leave because Florida has just gotten ridiculously expensive and it's number one. Yeah, Florida's number one in inflation in the country. That's right. Florida is number one in inflation. So here's a guy explaining how much it used to just cost to rent a small place, and it's more than doubled. And going to the grocery store is ridiculous. But just living all around Florida when you're number one in inflation, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. And I have so many friends that live down in Florida, and many of them are just like, it's just too much. It's just gotten to be too much. We've had enough. We're moving out. So expect over the next couple of years a huge migration out of Florida. Yeah, you may still get some of the rich folk going down there, but the average Joe, no, the average Joe's leaving.
One thing that people need to understand with politics is that every choice we make comes with consequences. A vote is not just something you make on an election day and forget about it. The vote affects jobs, families, businesses, communities, and even people we may never meet. But a lot of people, they make political decisions are based on emotions, fear, revenge, or even what they believe will protect them. But the only thing that a policy will only affect the people that they don't like. But the truth is that everything is connected. Take immigration, for example. They supported deportations, believing they are solving illegal immigration and even security. But immigration is also connected to the economy. Industries, they depend on workers, like farming, restaurants, construction, fishing, small businesses, and even big companies. So once the workers are affected, the businesses are going to suffer. And that is what is happening. But they never thought about that because they were motivated by racism and hatred for immigrants. But the problem with people is that they only understand the effects of a policy when it reaches their own lives. But when it's happening to someone else, they don't care, Now they are realizing that immigrants are hardworking people and they deserve to be treated like humans. And that's why it is very important for people to think beyond themselves when casting a vote and understand what you're voting for. Not just the speeches, not just the slogans, and not just the emotional moments, but the actual policies and possible consequences. Ask how a policy will affect families, the economy, communities, and even affect people who are different from me. Because winning an election does not mean that the people of the other side, they are going to disappear. They are still your neighbors. They are still your co-workers and part of your country. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.